Hey everyone, it's Keisha Charmaine and I'm back with another episode of Keisha's Conversations. And this is going to be a brief conversation I have with my bestie, Tai.
Hey, what up?
So this conversation was inspired by... this conversation was inspired by our first live video on Instagram. If you follow us on Instagram or follow me on Instagram, then you may have been a part of the chat. Oh, someone asked a question in the chat. Why are New York women so masculine? Was that the question?
Yeah, that was the question.
Yeah, and it led us to do some thinking. Are we masculine? First of all, let's answer that. Are we masculine? Do you think we're masculine?
No. I was going to say hard, but I guess that's what he means.
That's kind of the same thing.
Yeah, it's kind of the same thing.
Tough, yeah.
I can see it.
I can see how we're tougher than a lot of other girls, but at the end of the day, I feel like we're inner city women, and I feel it's probably the same in other inner cities around the states. Maybe, I don't know.
I'm thinking he was talking about the way we were speaking, like the way we talked on the...
Oh, do you think he was referring to us just in the conversation, talking about our locks? We sounded masculine talking about our locks?
I don't know, I'm just saying our voices, the way we... I guess maybe the way we express ourselves or the language that we use.
Oh, I didn't think that he meant us. I think that he was just asking us because we're from New York. But it led me to think, like, a lot of times I feel like New York girls are more masculine to an extent because we have to be. Like,
we put up a lot.
It's hard out here for a pimp, you know.
We put up a lot on a daily basis.
We do, yeah.
Walking down the street, you have to be mindful of your surroundings. You have to, like, there's creeps on the train, especially.
And we were just talking about this, like, yesterday, I think, or 2 days ago. We were talking about how, like, how being from New York, the way we're raised, like, we have a sense of, like, street smarts. Yeah. Like, we know when we're walking down the street by ourselves, like, look, turn around, be aware of your surroundings, you know, mind the shadows you see, because you never know who's trying to rob you, like, jump you.
And I was telling the story, I was walking with my friend, and we went to the store, we went to the corner to get, like, some candy or whatever, and this guy was walking... We were walking on the same side of the street, but we were going in the opposite direction. So he was walking past, and he said, "Did you guys get that candy?" And we're like, "What? Like, how did he know we were going to the store for candy? We were just walking by." And we were making fun, like, "Oh, he was stalking us. He was watching us. He may kidnap us. Like, be careful." And I said, "Don't worry, I can identify him." And she was like, "What do you mean you can identify?" I said he had on a black and white Biggie shirt, and the crown was gold. And she was like, "Oh my God, like, Ty, I don't remember what he had on." Mind you, she lives in Florida. She originally from New York, but she's been living in Florida for at least 4 years now. So I was like, yeah, you have to pay attention. This guy said something to me. It was natural for me to look at what he was wearing, and I know if he had a hat on or not. Like, I was just brought up that way to pay attention to who's around you and all that stuff.
And I guess a lot of people would look at that like, wow, that must be rough, must be hard to grow up in New York. But I mean, I don't really see it like that. Maybe because it's like that's my life.
Yeah, second nature to us.
And I don't want to say it's all I know, because I did, when I was an Air Force brat, I lived in Panama, I lived in Texas, but I was really young, so like I can't really speak on walking down the street by myself, because I wasn't doing that back then. But yeah, it becomes second nature, and it doesn't...
I think because New York, and I don't just say just New York kids or teens or whatever, but we're independent because we travel a lot by ourselves. It's not like the suburbs where a school bus picks us up from school or whatever. True. Like, I went to school far away from home, even in high school. Like, I'm from Harlem, and I would go to school in Brooklyn, which is about an hour train ride away. But I knew how to get around. Like, I had to know if my train was messed up, okay, I have to take this train instead. Like, you have to learn how to maneuver and get around and be mindful, because I feel like those crazy people, they pray. They're looking for somebody who's not paying attention, you know, who's like on their cell phone or who's listening to music and stuff like that. So my mom told me at a young age, because at a young age I had a key to my house, latchkey kids.
Same.
And I would go out, I would go to the store, I would go grocery store, I would do laundry, like I would do all of these things, and to pay attention to what's going on. Don't look lost. That's what my mom used to tell me all the time. Don't look lost.
I'm the type of person, I would be lost for 30 minutes to an hour before I ask somebody to help me, because I don't want to look like, oh, she not from here. Let's, you know.
Yeah,
let's mess with her. You know what I'm saying?
And my mom always taught me too, as a kid traveling. Now, mind you, I was like 8 years old or whatever. I used to travel by myself pretty much.
8 is pretty young.
That is.
On the train or the bus?
She had me, sometimes she would show me a route and then have me take it on my own and, like, you know, call her or something like that. At first, the first time I traveled by the on the bus by myself, I was scared.
How
I was scared. Dang, I don't know how old I was.
Younger
but
than
I was
8?
I was pretty young. I would say maybe, was I 10?
10 sounds right.
10.
I was 10 years old when I started taking public transportation by myself.
I was walking home from school and stuff like that by myself already, since I was in elementary school.
Well, my elementary school was close to my grandmother's house, so I used to walk there. But my middle school was across Brooklyn. Like, I lived in East Flatbush. My middle school was in Bushwick. So I used to take the bus or the train sometimes. And
my middle school was kind of far. It was kind of far. Because I had a bus pass. Like, they gave me my school Metro card, and it was a full fare. And then when I lost that school Metro card, I used to walk home. Because I didn't want to tell my mother. Because it took 2 weeks. It took 2 weeks for the next one to come. And I'd be like, walking all the way home. That was a different, that was kind of, because I was on Broadway. And I lived far. But, she put me on the bus. She told me what stop to get off at. And I was so scared because I didn't see her. Like, I had bad vision. So I didn't see her. She was going to meet me somewhere. I didn't see her. So I stayed on the bus to the last stop. Like a dummy. I stayed on the bus to the last stop. And then I just switched to the next bus going backwards to where I was going. But I knew that area where I was, like, lost at. I already knew that area. So I just knew to get on the other side and go back around. But I was so scared because I couldn't see. And I didn't want to wear my glasses.
That happened to me one time. In middle school, I didn't have contacts yet, and I didn't want to wear my glasses because it was like a party, like it was like my first middle school party dance, and I got home. It was kind of late, and there was it was just dark outside, and I couldn't really see. I took that B35 all the way to the last stop at Hageman, and then I asked the driver, because I don't know why I was too nervous to ask the driver for help, but at the end of the route, I had no choice. Like, I was the only one there. He's like, "This is the last stop." I'm like, "Oh, I live on so and so and so and so and so and so." And he's like, "Okay, stay on the bus. I'll let you know when to get off." I'm like, "Thank you."
Yeah, you can do that. Yeah.
Yeah.
But my mother always told me don't ask men, but he's a bus driver, so that's a little bit different.
I only ask policemen or women for directions.
Yeah, my mom always told me only ask. Well, she didn't really say police officers, honestly. She would say women with children.
Or people who like work there, like if it's someone who's like a security guard, or like someone those people,
like the
I ask
vendors.
those people, vendors, ask vendors too.
But she would tell me not to go up to a man,
Same, because a man is gonna tell you go left when it's really right because he doesn't want to tell you that he doesn't know. He doesn't want to tell you he doesn't know. Or 2, he's going to use it as an invitation.
Yeah, to pray and tell you the wrong way, or I'll walk with you, or something like that.
Yeah.
I was
or
always
even just to spark a conversation that you're not trying to have. Like, so where you from? Bruh.
And that's the thing, too, what I was saying before. Like, we're private in a way. Like, we know when people are, like, asking questions that they don't need to know the answer to. Yeah,
that's one thing that's really it's a positive about being from New York. Like we have like a detective mindset, I guess. Like we're suspicious. I mean, to the point of paranoia sometimes. I can't even front.
Like, they follow me.
But it's smart. It's a gift to have.
Yeah, because my mom grew up in the South, in South Carolina, so everybody is communal. Like, you know your neighbor, you know the person that live here, you know the person that live there, and you guys all just talk to each other. You know each other first and last name. So even if you see somebody and they know your last name, they're like, oh, you such and such child, and what's going on? You will talk to them. Yeah. Here in New York, you kind of like, what? Like, why? What? And they ask you to, it depends on what they ask you to. Like, oh, where you live? Oh, I live around this. I don't ever say what street. I don't ever say what building. I'm like, oh, I live in this area. Yeah. Near, like, I'm from Harlem. I was like, near 125th Street. Now, you know how big 125th Street is. Yeah. So I just like, I would give a main street too. Yeah, I just give a main street or whatever. I'm like, why are you asking me all these questions? Why? Yeah. Have you ever been followed?
I have been. Oh my God. And plus my name is Keisha, which is such a common name. Listen, I remember this was in high school. It was like a half day. So I was going home in the middle of the day, like it was kind of early. So there's no one outside. So I get off the train and I'm walking the rest of the way home. And the guy, he's in the car and he's driving like slow, so like to keep up with my pace. And he's like, hey, I know you, Keisha. Your name is Keisha, right? And I swear that was the first name he said. I turned to him. I'm like, there's no way I know this man. Like, this is a grown ass man. I don't know you. I'm 14. I don't know you. And then I turned my head. Then he's like, Sabrina. No, your name is Sabrina, right? And I was like, yo, I didn't know my name.
He was slick. He was real slick with it. I'm not gonna lie. He was real slick with it.
Yeah, but unfortunately, like, I lived on a one-way street and he couldn't drive the way, so I was able to lose him like that.
I remember I was coming from church, and instead of me taking like the main way, I would always take the back way to cut through, like, you know, when you cut through a park or something, it's the easier way. So I remember turning the corner. There was a whole bunch of guys on the corner. I walked across the street because I don't want to walk through all y'all. I'm good. So they were trying to talk to me from across the street because I crossed, and they were like, oh, miss, that you see a whole bunch of us that you went across the street, word, it's like that. I'm like, I don't care. I'm going across the street. I went across the street, and as I'm walking through, like, I was walking through the projects. That was probably a bad thing, but I was walking through. But my family lived there, so I had family there, so I wasn't feeling that bad about it. But I was walking, and I remember being conscious of who was around me. Like, I remember seeing, okay, to my right, there's a lady in a stroller. Over here, this is that. And this is so second nature. I don't even think about that until, like, I talk to other people and, like, they don't think that way. So I always look behind me as well, or I could see somebody's shadow behind me. So I'll look, or I've been down to tie my shoe and if I feel uncomfortable, or the person will
stop and check your phone or something,
or stop and check my phone, or I pretend that I'm talking on the phone.
Yep, that's a good one.
I do all of those things, but one of the guys from the group that I saw earlier was behind me. And I stopped to tie my shoe. He kept walking ahead. I'm like, all right, fine. So now we're at a different, I'm behind him, and he kept walking. Maybe he's going this way. So he turned to another corner, and I'm like, all right, good. He's gone. Maybe whatever. He cut back. Like, as I was walking to the other end of the block, he cut me off, and he was trying to talk to me. And I was like, you know what? I'm good. Thank you, but no thank you, whatever. I'm walking. As I'm walking, I'm like, hold up. I'm walking to my house. Like, this dude is following me, and I'm walking to my house. I was like, no, let me not. So I walked to the block over where there was a corner store. There was a whole bunch of guys in front, and I went inside I keep wanting to say bodega. I'm gonna say bodega, all right? I say bodega. Went into the bodega and end up talking to, like, the guy behind the counter. I'm like, oh, I'm looking for this. Do you have this? And doing all of that. The guy came in the store. He stood around for a little bit, and then I guess he was annoyed because I was taking my time, and so he left. And as he left, I came out.
You looked around.
I looked around. I'm like, hope he's gone. And I even came out and I asked the guys that was out there. I'm like, you see the guy in this? Did he leave? He was like, yeah, he left. He, like, went all the way that way. I'm like, all right, it's safe. But it clicked. Like, I'm walking to my house. Like, this guy's gonna know where I live. Like, it's not that many apartments in my building to find out who I am or my name or anything. So I was like, my instincts just kicked in naturally. So I was like, oh, did a good job. Your mama taught you well.
That's a lot like the time I made a story time video about it. The Jamaican man was like trying to knock me over with his van, and then he was arguing with me on the street, and it was like 2 houses away from my house. So I'm like, I didn't want to sit there and argue with him, but I didn't want him to see where I lived. So I stood outside and kept arguing with him. I'm very scared, but I'm not going to let you see that because I'm from New York.
Yeah.
I'm not going to let you see that I'm scared. And plus, you're a grown-ass man. Like, why are you arguing with me? Like, come on. Anyway, but my brother heard me arguing, hear my voice. So he came out the house and started yelling, and that obviously just gave away where I lived. So I was like, I might as well go home now. So I went in the house. I'm like, JR, just come back inside. Like, it's not right. Yeah.
I think there's a lot of stuff happen too, especially on public transportation. Like guys, and I don't know, you just have to be.
It's not even just guys, because it's girls too. Because for some reason, sometimes girls just be mad. Sometimes girls are mad, you know what I'm saying? Like, and they just want to start with you for no reason. I know you have had issues with that.
Yeah. So you walking down the street, talking, like they talk real loud, and they talking about you, so they want to start something, and they with people, and you just be like, dang, man, can I get a break?
Yeah.
I'm just trying to go home. I'm just trying to go to school. I'm just trying to do this. I'm just trying to do that. But also that too, and how to deal with being on a crowded train.
Oh yeah.
Being on a crowded train, I always told Keisha, I've been felt up so many times on the train, like somebody trying to touch me or like bumping into me and pretending it's because it's crowded. It was during rush hour and stuff. You gotta be like, yo, like,
you have to assert yourself. Like, and it's okay to be loud in that kind of situation because you're protecting yourself.
Yeah.
But
they do. I feel like that they do. People do prey on people. You never know. You can use a woman to do it too. I'm not just saying all men do it. Like, there's plenty of times where like a woman will lead a kid somewhere, and then all this other stuff happens. So you got to be careful, and you definitely have to talk to your kids about all of those things. My mom always talked to me about that young, because she was like, I don't know. You know, she always used to say, I don't know how long I'm gonna be here, so I got to tell you all this stuff now. People think that the kids just grow up knowing them. She's like, no, you have to definitely tell them how to get out of situations, and they'll remember them, because I remembered. What the hell am I doing walking to my house?
Yeah, and I mean, and a lot of stuff is you're just gonna pick up naturally on your own. You know, my mother and father, well, my father grew up here, but my mother and father were both born in Guyana, but my dad grew up in Harlem, so he had that experience. But my mother didn't move to New York until she was 27. But I mean, I don't know what it's like growing up in Guyana. Maybe it's a similar experience. I mean, I know that where she lives, the population is not nearly as like, crowded as here, so she doesn't have to deal with those kind of problems. But I'm sure it was rough and tough down there too, But yeah,
I think that's another why we have that face, when nobody's smiling. People like, oh, New York is not friendly. Listen, we got to keep that face so nobody will like talk to you or start with you, or even if you are friendly, like
if you're too friendly, I won't trust you. Like, I feel like you're a setup. Like sometimes like white people sometimes that's how they are sometimes.
Yeah, they just talk.
Yeah. It's a certain kind of white person to like move to the hood. Yeah. Like a lot of these areas are getting gentrified.
Especially,
and it's not like it's not like these the scary ass white people who's doing it. Like these people are bold as hell. You know what I'm saying? I mean, a lot of it is naivety, or naivete, however you say it. With them, because like they're not from here. They don't really know how they should move. But a lot of it is just like, I don't know. I think white privilege. I don't want to start talking about that. I don't want to get into that conversation because a lot of times they move like they untouchable.
Yeah.
Like when you're on the train and stuff, you shouldn't don't have your laptop out and your cell phone out. Have your headphones in. Like, come on, like.
Yeah.
You have a big bag with you too. This is a crowded train. Like, watch when them doors open. Someone can swipe it and bounce.
That's the thing. We think that way. I feel like in a lot of other places, like they don't think that way.
Yeah.
They don't think that way.
And maybe they don't think that way because they don't see it often. But we see stuff.
Yeah, we see stuff like that all the time.
Yeah.
I remember my friend. She only would sit in the middle. Like when you're on the train, she don't like sitting on the end by the door because
of people
could snatch. She had her cell phone snatched like that.
Oh, okay.
So somebody, she was on her phone listening to her music and took that in the headphones.
Oh, man.
Right out the door. So I'm
Yeah.
like, yeah, like that's why like we have that in us.
And a lot of times you don't know how to handle certain situations like that. Like, my brother got stabbed over iPod back in 2006. Like, on the train, his girlfriend was listening to her iPod, and it was like right before like the train doors closed. Some guy swiped it and tried to leave, but my brother wanted to be superhero, and he grabbed the guy right before he could leave the doors, and they got into a fight. But the dude stabbed my brother in his lung. My brother's okay, if you're wondering. Yeah, he's fine. But yeah, like, you have to worry about that kind of thing too. People have weapons on them. Like,
Yeah, they do.
yeah.
Like, yeah.
Our
And
school
you
had
have to
like
be careful,
metal
too.
detectors every now and then, so it was kind of like scary. Like, one guy got caught with a gun trying to come into school with a gun.
Really?
Remember?
I don't remember. Oh,
Yeah,
I remember.
And like, so me personally, I used to keep a master lock in my bag just in case, because they can't confiscate my master lock. Like, I could say it's from my locker. You know what I'm saying? But I used to keep it just in case I needed to use it as like some brass knuckles or something. And I never had to use it, guys. But
You know what? I used to have like a whole bunch of stuff on my keys. One used to help me because if you lose your keys, or if you're walking down the street, you can hear all of that stuff like
the jingling
of it falling. You know, you could fall and somebody could come back behind you and pick up your keys.
Yeah, I have a whistle on my keys.
I had a whistle on my keys
I mean,
too.
that would be so embarrassing to have to use that. Like, and like, but the thing is, we live in New York. Like, is anyone gonna react to a whistle? I would rather scream. I would just rather scream. Yeah. I'm gonna do it with a whistle.
That would make New York sound like it's all crime.
It's really not.
TV.
We got that sounding
New
so
York is
scary.
dangerous.
It's really not. It's not that bad. Like, I know, like, how we gonna say that after everything else we just said?
I know our experiences.
But like, I love it here. Like, I would raise my kids here. I feel like there's a lot of benefits to living in New York as opposed to living other places. Mm-hmm. We're exposed to more diversity and we have like more opportunities here.
And I think programs as well. Like, even if you don't have money, like,
yes,
even my mom, if you didn't have money, we were always doing something, some activity, there's always something to do.
Yeah, there's a lot of free resources like around.
Yeah. And with the schools too, I feel like a lot of schools in New York are just have like different programs for kids. Like, we went to a school for music and art. There's a school for what is it? Technology. There's a school for this. There's a school for that. Yeah. I feel like a lot of places is just one standard.
That's true. You have to go to your neighborhood school.
You go to your neighborhood school, and that's that.
Yeah, but not. Yeah, we don't have to go to school in the neighborhood. We get to choose our schools, or let the schools choose us. So that is definitely a big perk. Yeah.
What else? That we just made it seem like living in New York was horrible. That's
what
I'm thinking.
I'm not gonna think of the good things.
What about the good things in New York? Besides it, teaching.
We don't all have to drive.
Yeah, that's another thing. I don't know how to drive.
I mean, I don't have my license, but I think I could drive.
You think you could drive?
I mean, I've driven a little bit.
Like,
on the stick shift from I went forward a few feet and I went backwards.
I haven't even done that. But New York City driving is crazy though.
Yeah, man. And you know, the arguments outside and the road rage. Yeah, road rage.
Public transportation is like a sign of independence for me. I can go anywhere. Like, I can go to Brooklyn. I could go be in Harlem. Right. I can go to Queens real quick and back. Like,
for a couple of dollars.
Yeah. So it's not.
Oh, I don't know if this is good or bad, but like, I don't know. It's kind of bad. Like, when we're like on the train and stuff, you know, all the people who beg, or even on the street, all the people who beg, and we're like really desensitized to that. Like, they come with their sob stories.
You know why? Because we think that they're lying. They're lying. They just want money.
Because oftentimes, like, we know individuals who do that, who lie and do that. I mean, I usually give money to somebody if they perform. Like, if they like, I saw this guy, like, he was wearing like the most like bummy clothes, but he pulled out a violin. And he almost brought me to tears with his violin. And he was like 20 years old.
Really?
And he was killing. He had like these freeform locks, or almost. Maybe he was starting the process or whatever. Maybe he just ain't comb his hair for a while. But Yeah, he was killing that violin.
I like that about you.
Biden
Though
having
that
the
people could
cash.
just come on the train and
you're
do
allowed to
whatever
do that.
and dance and stuff like that. I give. You have to know that if whatever they're gonna do with the money is whatever they're gonna do.
Yeah, that's
so
true.
So I just be like, listen, if they're gonna use it for that, they're gonna use it for that. If not, then that's fine. But you do have the bold people I find really funny. They're like, can you buy me a sandwich? Can you buy me this? Can you buy me
I've
that?
never seen that.
Not on the train, but I'm saying when you're out, they're like, can you buy me? I was right. Where was on Church Ave? And the lady was like, can you buy me a meal? I was like, a meal, miss? Wow. Big hopes and dreams.
She might have been mentally ill.
Yeah, probably.
Yeah.
We do have a lot of those like places and
Yeah.
But I don't know what else. That we made
a good thing.
A good thing about
we have to leave this video with a
positive.
This podcast on a positive note.
What about New York?
I
think you meet a whole bunch of different people that you wouldn't necessarily run into.
I feel like everyone is welcome here. There's a lot of small towns that are not accepting of people for maybe they're gay. You can be gay all you want here in New York.
Yeah, nobody
you
cares.
can be gay all you want. You could be immigrants. What else? Disabilities, because there's a lot of resources for you here.
I don't feel like we turn our nose up at a lot of things, like especially like when people are either gay or transgendered or all that stuff. People on the train, we kind of just like
right. There could be somebody on the train.
Whatever.
Someone could be on the train with a 2 foot tall purple mohawk, piercings all over their face, wearing a thong bikini, and then you just gonna look forward like waiting for your stop, and that's it. Like it's normal.
That's
like,
pretty much
expected. Like.
But I kind of like that. Like we could we could just be free and nobody is really like paying attention.
Yeah. Thank you so much for listening to Keisha's Conversations. If you have a topic or a question that you would like discussed or answered in a future Keisha Conversations podcast, feel free to email me at info@KeishaCharmaine.com and put in the subject line Keisha's Conversations, okay? Thanks for listening. Love, light, and locks.